regular meeting. I'd like to call this regular meeting of the Town of Jerome Planning and Zoning Commission to order on Tuesday, April 19th, 2022 at 6:13 p.m. Can we have roll call, please?
I can do that.
Does the
Chair Jeannie Reddy,
here?
Vice Chair Lanshaw. Here. Commissioners Jared Peterson.
Here.
Lori Riley. And Chuck Romberger.
Okay, so we've got 3 commissioners present and 2 absent. That's enough to meet the quorum requirement to proceed with the meeting. If there are no objections, I'd like to move forward. Anybody have any objections? All right, well, let's move on to item 2, petitions from the public. Do we have any petitions from the public?
Not at this time.
Thank you. All right, we're moving on to item 3. We've got approval of minutes. Actually, there's 3 sets of minutes. We're going to start with the regular meeting of the Planning and Zoning Board that was conducted on February 16th, 2022. Does anyone have any comments or questions or concerns about the meeting minutes from the February 16th meeting?
I move to okay the minutes for February 16th, 2022 for
Okay.
planning and zoning.
I'll second.
All right, we've got a motion and a second to approve the meeting minutes of the Planning and Zoning Commission for February 16th. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, say nay. Okay, nobody's opposed, so we hereby approve the meeting minutes of the Planning and Zoning Commission February 16th regular meeting. Now we're moving on to the joint special meeting that was held on February 22nd with the P&Z, the DRB, and the council. And I was not, oh shoot, yeah, I was not present at that meeting, so I'm going to have to abstain from this one. I do have a point of clarification, though, in reviewing those meeting minutes that I'm not really clear about even if it matters or not. But we've got the call to order in the first section of the meeting minutes indicating the P&Z chair, Lance Shaw, was present, Vice Chair Chuck Romberger present. We had actually voted in new people at our prior meeting, but I don't know when that actually took effect. And then at the bottom of those minutes, there's a place for me to sign as the chair of the P&Z. So it's just not clear because we've got reference to Lance being the chair in the opening and then me actually signing them at the bottom. So I'm not quite sure the best way to fix that. And I don't think we can approve these tonight anyway, because I will have to abstain from the vote.
Yeah, the reason your name is on the bottom is you're now the chair, and so you would be signing them since they're being approved in this meeting. But if we don't have enough people, we can go ahead and table that until the next meeting.
Okay. Do we need to call a vote on tabling? I think that's been our tradition, at least, that I'll move that we table the vote on the special joint meeting minutes of February 22nd, 2022 until the next meeting of the Planning and Zoning Board. Can I have a second?
I second.
All right, any problems with that anywhere? All right, I'll call the vote. All in favor of tabling the meeting minutes from the joint meeting from February 22nd, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Okay, we've agreed to table that until next meeting. And moving on to the next meeting minutes, which was our planning and zoning regular meeting of Wednesday, March 16th. And I'll open it up if anyone has any questions or comments or concerns there. Nope. All right, I'll move that we approve the meeting minutes from the regular meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission of Wednesday, March 16th, 2022.
I second it. One of us.
I think Lance got in there just in the hair ahead. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Nobody opposed, and we approve the meeting minutes from the March 16th Planning and Zoning regular meeting. All right, that takes care of item 2, or item 3, I'm sorry. Moving on to item 4.
Would you like me to take over from this point?
Yes, please.
All right, happy to do so. Item number 4 is a conditional use permit application for residential apartments in the C1 district.
And I say, I can't hear you very well, Will.
Oh, okay. Is this a little bit better?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, I just want to use the microphone.
Okay.
So the applicant is requesting approval of a conditional use permit to allow use of residential apartments on the 2nd and 3rd floors of the what is known as the clubhouse building. A commercial gallery space is intended on the 1st floor with 2 residential apartments on the 2nd and an owner-occupied apartment on the 3rd floor. Yavapai County assessors provide the following information about the property. Constructed in 1920 with 3 floors. The building's original uses were commercial retail with mixed office units. I'll just skip ahead to the background real quick since I'm on that. The building at 123 Hill Street is a tri-level building constructed in 1920 as a hospital, known locally as the Jerome Clubhouse today. The architectural, I just found a typo, my apologies. The architecture of the structure can be described as eclectic mission style with asymmetrical tri-level main section with an arch at the 1st and 2nd level doors. A wrought iron balcony railing, common to Spanish eclectic styling, exists on the structure. It's primarily concrete, masonry, and wood with stucco. Now, in terms of use interpretation, the building is located within the town of Jerome C1 commercial district, and as such, the retail location on the Clark Street frontage is a permitted use. While the apartments located on the 2nd and 3rd floors are considered would be considered an existing non-conforming use, which are conditionally permitted under section 507C1. The parking requirements here for the retail space remain at 1 space per 300 square foot of usable space, while residential parking requirements are 1.5 space per unit. The floor area of the retail level is recorded as 4,522 square foot by Yavapai County. The total usable area will depend on the needs and wishes of the tenant on build out and renting, but generally should require 13 to 15 spaces potentially. The residential portion of the building require 4.5 parking spaces, which rounded up as the town of Jerome zoning ordinance requires, comes out to 5 parking spaces. Total calculated parking requirements for this building will depend on the retail on the 1st floor, how they build it out, how much usable space, which is the key word. So that could go down significantly. The intensity of use will come into play depending on the kind of retail build out. We do have a representative for Dwayne Woodworth here to answer any specific questions about the project.
Thank you, Will. Does Mr. Woodworth want to say anything on behalf of the project, or Any commissioners have any questions or commentary?
I have a question about the parking. There's 3 8x20 parking lots. How much in each parking lot is, will there be? How will that be set up?
Give me one moment here. Let me. That's what I can.
Hello, I'm Bob Woods. So I'm actually the architect. Dwayne's out of town. So I'm filling in for him. We have 16 spaces and on the site, and they're the same spaces that we came in with our conditional use permit a year and a half or so ago. And there's a couple are located in front of the building on Hill Street, and a couple are to the north of the building. And then we have 12 spots on the south side of the building.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, okay. And if you get the site plan, we'll kind of show those and they're enumerated.
Yeah, I kind of walked around and looked. I was just wondering the configuration and each, how the parking lot, but if we're looking at 15 parking spots, that sounds like it's adequate.
Chair Reddy, may I comment?
Yes.
Since I was here when we did the first conditional use, I kind of remember some of the history, if I can help. The first pass of this, we had the same project manager, Dwayne. So we can get confused, but the ownership changed and the plans changed for the building. Originally there were more apartments planned, so there's a little more parking intensity and maybe smaller retail at the bottom, I forget. But we went around and around on this board talking about the tandem parking on the south side of the building. And that's the area that we graded and prepared and retaining wall was flattened out and so on to make the lion's share of the parking spots. And they're showing on that plot map that we have. It's a little confusing looking at the topo lines and the parking lot lines, but there's a whole bunch of tandem space that's one car behind the other, which this board approved. Really the scheme is less intensive with a smaller number of apartments. So probably have enough parking here to make the whole thing work, but that's kind of the history of it.
Thank
Also,
you.
If I can expand for a moment. I know I overestimated the parking for the retail, and that's simply because we don't know what the final build out is going to be for usable space. And my estimate is high because I'm taking every square foot for that whole bottom floor provided by Yavapai County and estimating the maximum number of spaces should the entire space be used as one giant usable retail space. We know it'll probably go down because the build out will not be just a giant open floor with the entirety of it being usable. So my estimate is a purposeful overestimation.
Thank you, Will.
Yeah, right now, as far as I know, part of the first floor is a boiler room, and another room is actually a professional office. So the retail space won't be the whole thing.
Lance, I can't hear you very well. Are you talking in your mic?
Pretty much.
Okay.
No, I was just emphasizing what Will had said about the retail on the first floor. Some of the first floor is already, in my perception, just designated for uses that aren't retail. So there should be enough space, enough parking spaces.
I walked around it and it looked like, just depending on how it's designed and all, it was probably plenty of parking. So that's.
So when is it anticipated, if I might ask, that the finish out would be done and that, people would start moving in, so to speak, or businesses might be coming into the place? Is there still work being done at this time?
Yes, they've been permitting it a repair need basis. So they've been able to start working on the building and sealing it up and fixing walls and ceilings. But at some point, we're going to, when we know we have the conditional use, then we'll present the building department with plans that can actually permit that work.
Got you.
That ought to happen, hopefully in the next few months. The build out, it's hard to tell in these days, the environment's tough to get things done expeditiously. So we're thinking starting at the bottom floor and going up. And so we're going to complete it by floor to floor, from bottom to top, more or less. But they're working on it now. They're actually, there's work being done in the building.
All right, thank you for that.
Have they changed the fire escape plan, or is it?
The fire escape, we have a plan, and it's they're doing shop drawings now, and so it'll be fabricated and erected before we have residences on that side of the building. So that's something you can probably see. That's the thing you'll see throughout the get-go.
Okay,
Make it
that's
safe for the apartments.
right. Those are metal fire
And we
escapes.
metal back on the west side. And we used to have it on the whole back of the building. If you look at the plan, you can see it's on the back of the building, but more on the southern end only. So we worked with the fire marshal. We determined that we don't have to have fire escapes on that whole backside of the building, which is helpful.
Okay, yeah, I remember there were fire escapes on the other corner, the one closer to the surgeon's house.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's eliminated.
Yeah, okay, thanks. Yeah, that's why I asked about it. That's what's going on here. So as long as fire chief's good with it, we're
All right, good to know.
Actually,
Anybody else have any more commentary or questions about this conditional use permit?
We have
It-
a question.
What,
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that might be nice. I don't think it's my phone working.
We have someone from the public who'd like to say something.
Yes, please. Let's hear from the public.
Hey, ladies, Nancy Robinson.
Hi, Nancy.
I'm in favor of this, by the way, Bob, just so you know. But I just want to bring this to your attention because I noticed today. These pictures of the building are back when you had retail space. And if you zoom in on where the truck is parked, you have yellow caution lines here, which means you can park there. But I drove by today going to Giroux Street and they've been freshly painted all red, which means that would be a fire lane and you're not allowed to park there. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention because maybe you should double check with the fire department to see if you can go back to the yellow. Because the yellow, it goes red over the speed bump and then it stops and then it turns yellow. So I don't know if yellow means unloading only, or you can park there, but based on your drawings, because your drawings were done back when these pictures were taken. So I just wanted to bring that up. You're welcome.
Okay. I think that's probably something for them to, I guess, clarify with the fire marshal on that, I would think. Anything else? Anybody else have anything else to add or any more questions?
I just have a clarification. The one where the picture with the cars there and there's a little garage, that's part of the surgeon's house, the garage? The one with the little silver,
yes,
car.
that's the surgeon's house, yes.
okay. So the parking would be kind of in the front because it kind of angles out, right? It's kind of a diagonal that goes, yeah.
Two spots there, 2 spots there.
Okay.
Okay, anything else? Does anybody have a motion on this item?
I move we approve as submitted.
I'll
I
second.
it. Oh, I'll third it.
Go ahead, Sarah. Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Shaw and a second from Commissioner Peterson to approve the conditional use permit for apartments in C1 at 123 Hill Street as submitted. All in favor, please say aye.
I,
All opposed, please say nay. Okay, with nobody opposed, the motion carries and we've approved the conditional use permit for apartments in C1 at 123 Hill Street. All right, moving on to item 5. This is a renewed approval for an accessory feature generator. Will, do you want to introduce that, please?
Absolutely. So this is one that has already passed through DRB approval. A permit was issued and then the permit lapsed. There was a change in management and they're attempting to revisit this project now, but as it had already lapsed, we're putting it through the review process one more time as required. Now, the primary, the summary of this is that the applicant is requesting a design review to install a preliminary and final design review to install a backup generator and a screen fence 6 feet tall. The zoning ordinance does not specifically address the installation of a generator. However, the code does include approval criteria for fencing and accessory features in section 304 F 1K and M. The generator will not be covered by a roof, is not enclosed with walls, and would not be considered an accessory structure or building. However, the applicant has agreed to meet or exceed the setback requirements of an accessory building. Section 502 H7 requires detached accessory buildings to be located a minimum of 5 feet from property lines and 5 feet from the main structure. The proposed generator and its screen fence will be set back at least 25 feet from the property lines. Now there is, I looked at other issues, potentially noise, and this generator, if you look at the specs, is very well insulated from noise and shouldn't produce any sort of a noise hazard in the zone that it's located. Essentially, the primary thing I'm asking you to take a look at are the setbacks, and there is a map here that shows the rough layout on page, it says page 7 on here. And you can see where roughly on the property that the generator and the screen fence will be located. Not quite to scale as it's hand drawn, but if you have any specific questions, we do have a representative for the project, Mike, here to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you, Will. Are there any questions from the commissioners?
well, I went to see it today and I talked with Michael. It's gonna be on top of buildings what has like dirt and my concern, and it's not so much about the fence around, is that it's in a residential area. And I was just looking at 502 M7, home occupation shall not create any nuisance of hazard or other offensive conditions such as resulting from noise, smoke, fumes, dust, odors, or other noxious emissions. And I'm just concerned it's in a residential area. It's gonna be, it's like 230 gallons of diesel. It's not a small, it's not a temporary thing for building. So that's my concern. I would like for the residents to be in on that. That's my concern. So that's what I'm bringing up to the board, to the fact that it's going to be in a residential area. Houses are very close by. Having 230 gallons of diesel fuel, to me, I'm a concern as a person that lives in the area also, but for the town of Jerome. So I'm bringing that up to the board.
Well, initially, I know that this thing is very well insulated from noise, and that should mitigate any potential noise concerns. As far as emissions, in order to be installed here, it has to pass state level emissions guidelines, which to be 100% honest, I'm not sure what the Arizona guidelines are specifically for emissions from generators. But in order to be purchased and installed here, it had to at least met those qualifications. This is not a small, noisy backyard generator like what I would have plugged into my RV. This is it's a very serious professional model, and it does contain a lot of redundant safeties. And you can see some of the specs in the back of the application here. And I did actually look into this. It is a fairly impressive generator. Perhaps the representative for the applicant might know more specifics about this and better address it myself. I'd be happy to. Step on the card.
Would the applicant like to address that? Good.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Commissioners. My name is Mike Gray. I'm here representing the applicant. I'm happy to answer whatever specific questions you have about this generator.
I think the first concern was the noise that might cause a potential nuisance. And it's my understanding that there's some sound attenuation measures that are included to abate any noise problems. Is that accurate? Can you
That is
explain that?
correct. The applicant went to an added expense to add those options to the tune of $7,000 in the form of baffled and insulated cabinet. And then the corrugated fence, which matches other fencing in the area, will also further attenuate that noise.
Okay, and I'm curious though, has there been any discussion with the neighbors in that area that you can share with us at all? Or do we know how the other residents in that area feel about this project?
I don't know. I think that would have come up last year during DRB. And at that point, I was not on board. I joined in October.
I see. Well, certainly we've had, I guess, at least a couple of public meetings and public notices have been posted accordingly. So I would feel like if somebody was opposed, we would have heard something. I don't know though. I just came on board last year as well. So I'm not, it would be nice to know how the other residents feel. I agree with Commissioner Peterson on that.
Yeah, I wouldn't assume as far as like things been done before. I mean, as far as a public meeting and the residents, I mean, if it's in the records, we can find out.
The chair ready? May I speak?
I'm sorry. Yes, please. The chair recognizes Chairman Shaw.
Couple of issues. I'm not sure if you noticed along the mix of the concern about the fuel storage is that the fire chief has approved the EPA required, whatever it is, secondary capture in the concrete basin underneath the unit. So if the fuel tank leaks, it catches in the basement. You look at the specification sheet, it says it's good for 76 decibels, which is, I had to look this up, it's about the same amount of noise as an idling pickup truck, diesel. But like a Harley Davidson motorcycle could be 85 maybe or more. So 76 is decent. And the other thing to note about this, I mean, if it was going to run at various times as a commercial concern, or just like be running during the day, even that minor noise could be an issue. But the generator is intended only, as near as I can tell, for emergency backup, and will only run when the power's out. So it could sit up there for 3 years and never come on.
Right.
If the power's out for a few hours or maybe a day or two, and then it'll run. So it's not like it'll be continuous disruption to the neighborhood.
I think that's a very good point, that it is only for usage when the power is out. So it wouldn't be a daily, or, it would be a fairly rare occurrence that it would even be used and for temporary periods.
Yeah, and this one's fancy and big and high powered. But hopefully it's, designed commercially well, and quiet. But backup generators, diesel, propane, even natural gas are not unheard of in various residential areas. So it's not something that's really bizarre. And if I recall, we approved it twice before. In the original plans for the structure, well, approved generator. And in the original plan, there was a generator in one of the garages. And I think the applicant, the property owner, had moved it outside, which is the one we were talking about that got approved. And that's the one that expired, and now here's the second one. So it's not something that's bizarre.
Thank you for that. Yeah, I think since several of us weren't here through all the other activity on this generator, it's harder for us to come up to speed. And I appreciate Chairman Shaw, kind of briefing us on that a little bit. Yeah, I understand also the concern about, fire safety, which I think has already been addressed through the measures taken and the placement per the fire chief's request. Did you have any more questions, Jara?
Yeah, so I was just want to state that it didn't go through planning and zoning before, so it's new to our board. So, I would like to see the neighborhood have a chance to say yay or nay, and if they're good with it and they feel safe because they're going to be right next to it on Dundee, that it's important. It's something that seems like it would be an industrial area as opposed to a residential area to have a huge generator like that. It's in, state of the art, which is nice, but it's still diesel, and it's still, I know diesel fumes can be very, not noxious. So it would be nice to have a weigh in from the community that live in the vicinity of this generator.
Commissioner?
Yes, please, Chairman Shaw, go ahead.
Just like to, in my recollection, it was approved the first time by planning and zoning as part of the original building when it was in the garage. And then the second time, it was a TRB issue. It was approved, and that's the one that expired that we're talking about this time. So, and now it's back for both boards. And I think that's my recollection.
That explains some of the gas and
There you go, tribal now. And not to be completely disingenuous, the power generators like this one, they run in two different situations. One is if it's a power outage, and if the homeowner is home, they want to run it for the duration of the power outage, which typically is a few hours, maybe a day or something. But also, generally, they are run for a few minutes every couple of months or something, just to make sure that they run. So
That makes sense.
I'd be inclined to approve it, but I understand Commissioner Jarrett's concern. Maybe we should have a neighborhood meeting or something.
I'm open for suggestions here. I mean, is this something we need to table and get more information on? I'm not sure how we would go about a public information gathering process, honestly, or whether we have that ability or not. I'm not clear on that.
Well, point of order.
Yes, please.
What we should probably do is vote on the issue. If one commissioner doesn't like it, they'll vote no. It will fail. And direct staff to investigate what we need to do for the community. That would be the procedural way to address.
I can't hear, I'm not hearing you clearly. I'm sorry. The audio is not good from your mic.
Just a minute, we're gonna see if we can adjust the microphone.
Yeah. There's some reverb happening.
There's some feedback here. It's loud on my end. Can you hear me better?
Yes, that's a little better. Yeah,
And we still have a little feedback. How about now?
that's okay. Yeah,
It's a little echoey here.
yeah, that's better.
Just we're adjusting. Okay, how about now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. That way is it.
Can I say something? Are you done talking, Lance, or are you
Yeah,
still?
Repeat what I said so that our chair can pick up on it, just as a point of procedure.
Yeah, I wasn't clear on what you had pointed out before, Lance, as to what would be the proper way to handle that. I just heard the proper way to handle that, but I didn't hear what came before that
About the vote.
about.
If I
what are
voted
your
no,
suggestions?
it would
Right.
be, yeah, it wouldn't pass. Then we could readdress it, I suppose. Not really sure organization of that, but, and also just to state, just in the filing, I know it was to design review, was April 6th, and technically we have 15 days, and it would have been the 21st, so that we can actually put it on the next agenda and give ourselves more time. I'm not sure about reaching out to the residents. I'm not sure about that. If Will can adjust that part of it, how we could go about on that part.
If I'm directed to by the commission, I'm happy to explore and set that up.
Can we post?
Well, just point of procedure. The thing would be least damaging to the applicant would be to table the issue.
Okay,
Not vote on it. And,
All right.
And direct staff to arrange a neighborhood meeting.
all right, well, I moved to table the issue. And I'm not sure about how to go about to do to get the residents involved. Would it be to bring them to the next meeting? Would that be like a public hearing?
I will explore what a neighborhood meeting takes, and then I will reach out and get back to you with an answer.
This is a public meeting, though. Like this, it would already.
Neighborhood meetings are focused on exactly that. The neighborhood, they're posted, there's signs, and everyone within 300 feet of the project has can see the signs, and then a specific separate meeting would be arranged, and then they call a neighborhood meeting, where just those neighbors would generally be invited. That means it's an open public meeting, but then they can come and discuss their concerns.
All right, I think my suggestion would be that we table this item until our next meeting. And we can ask staff to gather the appropriate information in the meantime. I don't think that has to be formally done here.
I second that.
I need a motion.
Well, I motion to table it for the next meeting to gather more information.
I second that motion. All in favor of tabling this item until the next meeting, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, please say nay. Okay, the item is tabled for the generator located on Dundee until the next meeting, and to the extent that staff can help us communicate with the neighbors and get feedback, that would be helpful for our next meeting.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the commission.
Okay, moving on, now that I've lost all my places. All right, we're moving on to item 6. Updates of recent and upcoming meetings, and I will turn this over to Will to update us.
All right. Updates of recent and upcoming meetings. On March 30th, the Board of Adjustment meeting was canceled until further notice. On the April 4th, Design Review Board special meeting approved the minutes of the regular meeting of February 7th. Approved amendment to the Design Review Board bylaws regarding meeting dates, changing to the 4th Tuesday of every month. On April 12th, General Council meeting approved the minutes from both the February 22nd special meeting and the March 8th regular meeting. Approved resolution 637, awarding the Dundee Waterline contract. Approved resolution 638, awarding contract for drainage improvements. And no action was taken on resolution 639, as well as ordinance 482 regarding the 2018 edition of the International Residential Code.
Okay, so is that part of what the council was considering with regard to the long-term rental situation? Is that all part of that, or?
This was, and I'm looking at this and I think there, it may be a typo on my part. It may have meant no action was taken on the International Building Code.
Yeah, the
see.
resolution was to adopt the ordinance, which was the updated building codes.
Okay, the resolution was that we were going to update the building codes from the 2012 to the 2018 version. And it was determined that that actually wouldn't be terribly effective or beneficial to the town of Jerome. So we stuck with the 2012 building codes.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions? Comments? Okay, I'll move on then. We can move on to item 7, potential items for the May Planning and Zoning meeting on Tuesday, May 17th.
This meeting, I'm going to hopefully have it recorded and want to talk more about adding some definitions within the zoning ordinance relating to land use, as well as updating some other definitions and terms so that we can address concerns that did not exist when they were originally written.
Okay. All right. Looks like we're down to item 8, adjourn. Do I have a motion?
I move we adjourn.
I'll second that.
Okay.
All in favor of adjourning, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Nobody opposed. This meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission on April 19th, 2022 is hereby adjourned at 6:56 p.m. Thank you, everybody. Sorry, it's late here.
Ah. So, I mean, I know we're adjourned, but the public meeting deal, I guess we
I